it takes time to prepare and work through all of that. But our map ban is ready. Let's put that up on the screen for you. 7 maps, 6 are gone, 1 is left. And who has the final say on that? It's Guts. They take down Oregon, preferably for consulate. Now, we only have just over a minute to go through, so very quickly, was this the right choice for Guts? Alex, go first.
I don't know if it's the right choice. If I'm Guts, I'm happy with playing an open map like consulate. It leaves space, and I think that's what they're gonna need.
We've seen FAV do wild things, especially on the attack, and given that they, at least in their past couple of games, haven't banned Consulate as one of their default bans, it shows me that they're probably quite comfortable going to this map. Oregon less so. So, yeah, I'm hoping that this will be a good map for them, considering they let it go through.
And what score do you expect looking at Guts' performance overall and how FAV have been so impressive recently?
If you compare the last one, they went 7-3 in Clubhouse, so consulate map, I'd say 7-4 to Guts.
Jess?
If FAV start on attack, I think it'll be much harder for Guts, so I'm going to say that it'll be a 7-5, but if they start on defense, then I think it won't be as close, maybe a 7-2.
All right, thanks so much. Let's see what people think about this game, though. Our socials are ready, where you guys can vote on all these games. Go at R6 Esports APAC, 56% to Guts, 44 to FAV. The Japanese crowd is divided between these two, so let's see how it actually translates to in-game. Our duo is ready, and it's the long-lost brother and sister of Dev and Geo. All yours.
Seems like everyone is related here in the APAC North League casting team. I'm a bit confused and scared by that, but that's all right. Gio, this is the game that both of us have been waiting for, Guts versus FAV.
Yes, super excited. We've both got to cast these two teams in the recent Playdays, where we've seen some fantastic things come out from each of them. And even just looking at the statistics from both of their last games that they played respectively, Guts versus Talon, FAV versus Fnatic, they are wild. So I am so ready to see how these teams play against one another.
Well, it's time to jump straight on in here to Consulate, a map that we actually haven't seen very much of from FAV. If we look back the last time this team played Consulate, it was actually way back in the last season of Pro League, and guess who that was against? Guts Gaming. Now, FAV won that game 7-5. Since then, Guts have clearly developed it because they went on to win it against a team called Anohi in Japanese Nationals, and then against Cloud9 just a couple weeks back in the APAC North League. It's seen a couple bans though from Guts, so interesting to see that they let it through, and eventually that is of course where we'll make it for this game. Looking at this, I think the context is that Guts probably won't have a lot of info on what FAV have done, especially if FAV have developed their strategies for Consulate in the meantime since the season 11 of Pro League when they beat Guts on it. So let's dive on into the ban phase and see what kind of an operator pool we're looking at.
Well, already Nomad and Ying have been taken off the board, and we have seen a decent amount of Nomad play recently because she hasn't been banned quite as much on certain maps as you would expect, but no more is she going to be available here. That's going to be Wamai as well. I'm very interested to see if Valkyrie is going to be the last one. She's very common on this map, but there are, with Echo on the board as well, and such a high ban rate for Echo in this region, there's a little bit of a choice that has to be made, but no, it is going to be the Valkyrie. The fear of runouts is just too much. They have to make sure she's off the board.
Yeah, so Guts usually ban out the Ying and the Valkyrie, same thing that they banned. Oh, actually, it's a bit mismatched here, isn't it? Because Guts banned out the Nomad and the Valkyrie, but Ying and Valk was what Guts got rid of against Cloud9 on this map. And having a look at how these operator bans are going to influence the game, that Nomad is super impactful, and the Valkyrie, I guess, as well. That Nomad ban really enables aggression from the defenders. Typically on Consulate, a lot of external doors, windows, you chuck some air jabs on those, and it really suppresses the defenders, makes them much less keen to run out. And if they do, of course, the attackers can punish. You'll be relying primarily on Claymores now as a substitute, and Claymore is a little bit more fallible than the air jabs, depending on the placement. Now, on the flip side of that, with the Valkyrie banned out, another really common ban here on Consulate, that actually suppresses some of the aggression from the defenders. So Guts' operator bans are both enabling aggression from defenders and dissuading aggression by restricting that information gathering. That's why we'll look to other operators, namely the Mozzie here. Is probably the main one you're looking at for information gathering off-site. whereas the Evil Eyes from Maestra and the Mirror Windows from Mirror herself will primarily be the on-site info gathering.
I think the thing also you have to be mindful of is the fact that there is neither a Legion nor a Smoke on the defensive side, and they're going to be going up against a Montagna. Now, he wasn't the 6th pick. The 6th pick was from Thermite onto the Mavericks, so Guts Gaming knew to expect this, and yet regardless have decided that they're not going to be going for any of that Monty denial that we typically see. So they're going to be looking to get rid of him in other ways, slowing down the rest of the team, as you were saying, ensuring rather that they have all that information required. And I think we'll be looking to type on there on the Capitan to be able to use his gadgetry and his utility to be able to clear a way for the attacking team.
Definitely going to keep an eye on that Monty in the late round, but this is a lobby press defense to start things off for Guts. We talked a little bit about their operator lineup. For the most part, it's a spread push at the moment, or rather a spread hold. You'll notice the Jaeger, Yura, playing at the top of these yellow stairs. Very keen to take one of these angles. Actually spots out the drone there. Decides not to shoot it. Eventually does. He gets out of dodge. And thanks to FAV banning out the Wamai, there is nothing to impede those firebolts. Yura pushed on backwards, but can FAV capitalize on the ground that they have now, I guess, pushed off? Because they haven't technically taken that ground. They've just pushed the Gus player further off.
If they can secure an angle onto him, then it could be that he's gotten rid of relatively early. It's actually going to be JJ taking some of that early damage, and Chloroform very nearly being able to secure that kill, but not quite. And Shin's going to be moving on downstairs. Now, remember, it is a lobby push. It's not a basement one, so they just want to be sure that there's no one playing underneath there, because, of course, there is something like the risk of C4s if the Monty's going to be going in and, you know, wants to be helping Chloroform and facilitating him as he makes a plant. You need to be sure there's no one playing down below.
This is somewhat unusual to see a team do a top floor clear on this lobby defense from the west side. Usually you would have someone sit on the west rappel and push primarily from the east side, but what this means for Guts is their roamers who are trying to control the top floor have started to push on back, but they still have control of meeting, and that is the most pivotal room upstairs on this lobby defense because of the angles that you can generate through the floor. But that said, with the ground FAV have taken, they might be able to go for a piano push, and it looks like that's what they're doing. Afro somehow is allowed to repel inside, and he might be able to deny the positions of the mirror window. Lily, a C4 goes the wrong direction, and for some reason the info is just not there. A couple of whiff shots, and there you go. Afro to punish, finds a 2K from inside public. He gets traded out. Now a 3 versus 2, technically a 2v2 on the retake, and that is secured there. Really, it's all up to JJ and Light to go massive, but with the Montaigne still up and at a numbers disadvantage, this looks nigh impossible for Guts.
Looks like it's going to be very hard for them to be able to do anything in this scenario. JJ is going to go for the disable while the Maestro watches out, but he can't do anything about it. Shin clearing up at the end with those pistols. And really, Guts Gaming should be kind of frustrated. The fact that FAV were able to come in rather effortlessly and surround Lily, who was placed there in the bathroom, applying that pressure onto him so that he couldn't use the mirror window to prevent the plant, which he could see very much was going on because you had Afro watching in through the door ready to shoot him as soon as he stepped into place. That was the only thing that Guts had in place there to be able to prevent this from happening. All they could do was sit from the sidelines and watch the diffuser go down. Now, of course, you can attempt to make that disable at the end, which they did, but going up against Monty, as you quite rightly said, makes it incredibly difficult.
Need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Yeah, and I've really got to commend FAV there. That's a fairly unusual attack push. Not that it's rewriting history or anything like that, but it's just super typical, super on meta for teams on this top floor take to clear from the east side, like I was saying earlier, and just have someone on that west rappel to cut off rotations. And then the roamers, usually they start around meeting, and they might have someone around a private bathroom upstairs, and yeah, FAV just kind of turned things on their head, and they're like, well, why don't we just have a hard stack of util, including the Capital, which there's no counter for, thanks to one my being banned, and the Monty. We'll take yellow stairs control, we'll take CEO control, we don't even need meeting control. And then let's just execute down through the hatch, plant in piano nice and safe. And, well, there really wasn't a response for it from Guts. Now, the pivotal moment for me was that Afro managed to repel into Antechamber, and that was huge. Not only was he able to pressure the public, but he also got a second kill onto the player trying to push anti in the late rounds on that post plant. But of course, we're moving down. Guts not dwindling too long on that lobby bomb site and deciding to go instead to basement, garage, and cafeteria. But that Monty's pick is still ever present, along with the Capital.
Well, this time they are bringing a smoke, so that could help to slow down the push being made by the Monty. And of course, one of the mistakes that arguably Guts made last time was they didn't really have any presence down in the basement, and so they couldn't waste the time that FAV were using to clear that area, and then they couldn't capitalize on those C4s they had in pocket. But since they're in the basement now, all they need to worry about is, not getting that C4. All they need to worry about is holding above it, and that's why we're seeing these roaming operators come out. We have Light there on the Mozzie, who we did just see failed to throw the C4, unfortunately for him. But, you know, you've also got Euro on the Jaeger, who can be elsewhere, and it's just a little bit better suited to be able to have these players who are in other parts of the map. It can make it harder to clear out, a lot more work for the team to deal with. Now, we've noticed the Monty is going upstairs, so he's going to be just dealing with that, making sure that yellow stairs can't be rotated down there for the defenders, and just making sure that there isn't much presence or threat from above. And there we go, there is one of our beloved defenders. It's got to make a rotate around now to avoid that.
Crazy actually goes all the way upstairs, and this is to... Oh, he lines up a C4, tosses it on out, but there's no one playing near that staircase. And FAV, this execute that they're preparing for looks imminent. And the pivotal thing is Shin needs to clear out these players from in piano, but I think Typon is maybe playing a long angle to deny this. The mute gets back in, Typon on this drone, and yeah, indeed, Typon ready to play through those windows and deny any player in piano. This is a really nice setup from FAV. It looks like they've dry run this 1,000 times and ready for the execute, the util to come through. Starting up, 40 seconds left. FAV make their way inside. Chloroform with the diffuser in hand, but number 2 is the first to fall. The smoke to cover here. Afro to get aggressive to ensure that there is nothing that can deny the plan, but JJ C4 finds 2. All of a sudden, it's 2 players from FAV to try and retake. Diffuser not planted, 20 seconds remaining. Lily and Yura to try to hold. Shin needs to get aggressive here with the Monten. He needs to take this fight in the close range. Gonna try a few hip fire shots, calling out information to Typon, and he'll try to pinch, but Lily wins that fight. Can the trade come through? Indeed, it does not. And that is Guts to hold, all thanks to that C4 from JJ.
That was a really fantastic C4, and I think it was a good idea for JJ to switch onto the mirror and allow Lily to move there onto the smoke, because also bringing out the toxic smoke canisters helped impede that push being made from the attackers as well. And I did like the positioning of Light as well. He got traded out in the altercation, but where he was based back towards the Visa stairs, back towards Archives, it meant that he had a direct line of sight through to the really aggressive push that was being made in by the attackers. And that's why we saw one player go down from FAV very, very early as they rushed into the site. So a good round there for Guts Gaming, and it was nice to see them make those changes on the operators that allowed the players to get more value out of them. I think I don't know, I don't want to criticize it too much, but it would have been nice if those initial 2 C4s that were used by the Mozzie and by the Mute had gotten a little bit more, because that was a very risky choice to use the C4s, and we know how big that utility can be, especially when going up against the Monty. Losing them that early is concerning, but evidently it didn't matter in the end, as JJ was able to, get 2 for 1 on his. But even so, something maybe a bit too overzealous there from Guts Gaming.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and now for FAV, well, everything looked like it was going well. I really liked their setup for the execute, but now, as we saw, Guts with that plan style was so pivotal. So we'll look to that this round, and you've mentioned counters for the Montaigne. Well, Guts have brought both the smoke and the Legion to the table. But there's no Montaigne. Shin's 6-picked over onto Thatcher. Now, FAV would no doubt know or expect that it would be a consulate attack, and Shin looking to use his EMPs to clear out utils such as ADSs. And that will actually disable the Evil Eye, but there's no player from FAV ready to capitalize and shoot the open shutters. Now, I expect that a second EMP to be used on top of yellow stairs, well, it's a drone, not an EMP. But I expect one to be used on the yellow stairs to destroy any of Lily's ADSs. In fact, he's got 3 stacked up here. 1 EMP can dispatch with all of those at once. Add to the fact that there's no Wamai, means that, well, Taipon's Capital is going to have free reign. Is this EMP going to be chewed up by one of the ADSs? That's my question. No, it's not. Oh, but it misses. The range wasn't quite there. Shin really should have gone to the roof for that one, but despite still having the ADSs intact, Lily runs away. It doesn't even matter. And that's the final EMP chewed up by the ADSs. Look, all that util was not cleared, but the player was, so I guess you can't complain if you're FAV.
Yeah, 2 of them still remaining there, but as you say, players gone, and now that's 2 ADSs that aren't elsewhere on the map that can protect any of these players. So number 2 is going to be throwing in one of his nades, which won't find anything. It's just to ensure that he has that way into the yellow stairs and can begin to hold that angle. But where Yura's positioned here in Piano, he might be able to spot him out and see him, at the very least tell the remaining members of his team. If they can come in from the top of yellow stairs, where those ADSs still stand, they may give themselves a fighting chance to clear him out. It just depends on the communication. Oh. Crazy Papillon's going to be bringing Afro down as he sits there on the rappel, and now the man count has evened out. But Yura, he too. Chloroform, that gives him the opportunity to actually plant the diffuser. Is it going to be denied there? No, not quite.
And now we're in a post plant, but FAV pull the numbers back onto their side quite significantly. Crazy Papillon, the lone player to find a kill this round, and he is finished off. FAV Gaming managing to make that execute work by the end of it. Started strongly with that clear on yellow. Ooh, nice shot there for number 2. Great clear on yellow stairs, despite the EMPs not quite finding the ADSs. And I thought that perhaps that pulse roaming downstairs, Yura, would have been the X factor for Guts to bring that back. But great job from Shin. He, late round, pushed up yellow stairs and cleared Piano. And the player who was meant to cover Yura while he was pulsing was Crazy Papillon, but he was busy doing a run out on lobby. Now, you can't fault Guts too much for that, but I don't think they quite had a read on what FAV were doing, and it was very much the reverse from FAV's perspective. They knew exactly what Guts wanted to do, and now we'll see, once again, a successful plant go down for FAV. It's 2, almost 3 times in a row they've managed to get that diffuser on the ground, and it's definitely a pivotal aspect of their attacks and the playstyle that they want to bring to their attacking side.
I really like this adaptation that's being made here by Guts Gaming. Last time we saw them come to this site, we obviously kind of saw them watch from afar as the diffuser went down, and there was very little they could do because of the pressure being applied to Lily, who was situated in the bathroom. But having decided to bring the Echo this time instead of the Mozzie means that they're going to be focused a little bit less on intel denial and more on plant denial. And that means that if they find themselves in a similar position where that diffuser is going down and they can't really do anything about it in the moment, those yokai drones can still be positioned in a place that can be pivotal in that plant denial, prevent FAV Gaming from being able to put the diffuser down quite as easily as they did before. Now, I'm interested to see if Lily is going to change his approach to where he was in the bathroom. We haven't seen... Okay, I was going to say we haven't seen any reinforcements go up yet, but they're going to be dealing with that now. And he really got sandwiched in between Afro and the players who were, I think, Chloroform, who were coming in through Piano. He wasn't really able to get all that much value out of where he was. So that's something that I want to see changed this time, because having the mirror there is a very powerful position to be. If you're not getting anything out of it, then that's a huge loss for your team.
Drone deployed.
From FAV's perspective, it's very much the same attack strategy that they did in the previous rounds. Focusing on the CEO repel, focusing on yellow stairs control, Taipon with plenty of util. Shin's actually cutting off a spiral rotate on this repel, unusual for a shield player. I'm actually surprised that he's actually going towards Visa right now instead of focusing more so on the yellow stairs side of the map where he pushed in previously. But for GG, for Guts Gaming, I'm expecting that if they're a bit more astute and prevent, say, Afro from repelling into Antechamber, I think that will give them a much more significant chance here. And now that Guts are aware that FAV very much focused on this east side take, west side take, I really expect that they'll be more clued in and they won't be taken by surprise when the execute comes on through Piano. But a util used here, and Taipon gets that control into CEO.
Defender is approaching the kill zone.
Okay, you're jumping out there from meeting to see if he can catch the player off on rappel, but Afro was ready for it this time, and he won't be caught out. Now, remember how easy he found it to break into Antechamber before, and it looks like he could be in a position to do that again if JJ doesn't catch him out from where he's lying behind Circle. Still a lot of presence from FAV Gaming upstairs, and so they're going to have to make the rotate on down. And if these players, including JJ, aren't cleared out below, then this could be a bit harder. Here we go. Afro's going to try his chances, and he's not quite going to go down. Instead, he's going to be able to get the kill himself. Chloroform, he can start things with the planting, and it looks like he's not going to be denied. That Yokai drone unable to be played there, and Fab still just getting the kills.
Located the diffuser.
Now it's all on Lily, the lone player on the bomb site who was meant to deny this plant. And being harassed by the Montaigne, this looks like Fav is going to make... Oh my god, live droned, pushed by Montaigne, harassed. It looks like there is no hope for Lily to clutch against 4 players from Fav. Shin wants in on the action as well, and he's going to finish it off with the P9 Black Ice. Lovely stuff there from Fav. Once again, exact same textbook strategy coming through so successfully, even down to you rappelling in through Anti. He found one and was traded. I think it was actually Grenade that downed him. But fair play to Fav. That's a strategy they've made work twice in a row now.
And he knew to expect that player there playing in lobby. So he straight away knew what angle he was going in for, rather than just trying to blindly hold Lily back like happened before. And the fact that it was the Echo, like, okay, you've got a good weapon that can deal with that because you've got the ACOG, you can try and get that really tight angle that he was trying to hold from behind Circle. But if you go down, suddenly the plant denial that you were relying on that I spoke about at the beginning of the round isn't there anymore. And straight away, Chloroform found himself in that same position where he was able to just put the diffuser straight down, and Lily once again got sandwiched and a little bit crushed. So, you know, I think Guts Gaming, when they do eventually return there, if they decide to do that, gonna have to think a little harder, and especially for the future, but they are going to be going back down to Cafe this time. Now, they were able to hold this site when we came here in round 2. If you remember correctly, Fav Gaming, they almost made a little bit of a rush. They did play the Monty. They had him hold yellow stairs, and then they kind of pushed in very strongly through the garage door. Guts Gaming were in a good position to be able to deal with that, and JJ, of course, with the double kill using the C4. Now, they've brought out a very similar, in fact, I think the same defensive lineup. So it could be that they decide to go for the same thing. The question is, are Fav going to be ready for that, and are they going to be able to exploit it in a way that makes it work for them?
And judging by the way Fav have played this attack thus far, I expect a very similar, if not exactly the same identical strategy to what they did the last attack here on Garage. And that means JJ and the rest of Guts can kind of figure it out and know to expect this very much garage wall-centric kind of take. And it looks like Guts are, for the most part, doing the exact same thing. Actually, 2 C4s previously rained out from these CEO windows and found nothing. And the roamers from Guts weren't super impactful at all. It was just that that anchor on site JJ with that C4 to deny plan. Look, Fav, I think if they play their execute slightly differently, they can dodge those C4s and win this round and get that plant down. So it's really on Guts here to change things. Despite them winning the last time, it was not convincing. Just came down to that single C4. So Guts need to step it up here. Especially as, well, a lot of people would favor them. They've been doing so well here in APAC North League. Second place after the first set of rounds on the Swiss system, just behind Giants. And Fav, well, they've established themselves to be a serious contender here among the other Japanese teams. They beat Guts last time these teams matched up. They look to be doing just as well here.
The fact that Light decided he wasn't going to do the Hail Mary C4 throw. He was holding the angle down through the piano floor, which I quite liked, focused a little bit more on whether Fav were going to move in forward, but instead decided to retreat to the service stairs, or the Visa stairs, which is where he managed to get that kill beforehand. Now in go the smokes, that's going to conceal that vision, and the smoke canisters will come out. It's going to be Crazy Papillon opening things up onto the Monty. That's pretty huge. Chloroform's just got to go straight in as these players are just falling and falling from from FAV Gaming. Guts with the flawless round. They were prepared. They were ready to get those kills.
That was very, very different to what happened the last time FAV attacked that. They had prepared their execute with so much time. There was 50 seconds left. They went for that execute, and it was like throwing a snowball at a brick wall. It just exploded with no impact whatsoever. Guts ready to receive. It all started with that opening kill, which was Shin going down. He's the Montaigne player upstairs, trying to pressure the vertical player. In this case, it was Crazy Papillon on the mute, trying to use those vertical holes from the piano floor down into garage where the rest of FAV were making their execute. Now, Shin was just meant to harass that. He got headshotted, so you have to assume the Monse tried to play a little bit too aggressively, went for that aim down sights maneuver instead of the more passive hip fire and just harassing the defender. That led him to getting killed, which meant that Crazy could just easily flank down yellow. And when you have a crossfire that powerful, there is nothing that FAV can do. You add to that the fact that the other Guts players on site managed to find a couple picks onto the players that were trying to distract as the diffuser went down. There was just absolutely no hope for FAV. And the fact that all those kills came out with 0 refrags and Guts made a flawless round, that does go to show that I think FAV, they might have some nice strategies, some nice executes prepped, but there are a few things that can go wrong, and when that happens, when that tiny little dot isn't above the eye, when that T is not crossed, and when they can't roll with the punches as the round plays out, well, Guts, they take very strong control.
It also goes to show that smoke plants aren't everything. Even without a warden, sometimes you can just hit your shots through it, and sometimes it can just be better. But this time, FAV Gaming, they've decided to bring this gridlock, which you just saw throw out her track stingers. That's a very early kill there from Afro, and on to JJ too, who's been pretty instrumental so far this round, sitting there at 6 kills, the most on his team. So that smoke is going to be gone. That means the meeting control has been lost straight away. Now, obviously, someone else from Guts Gaming can rotate and take that place, but that's a really big player, and that denial is gone as well. And this is going to be Lily actually moving in here now because he wants to prevent any of those members from FAV being able to take that room early.
Move out!
Now, despite that meeting control and that smoke player eliminated, I expect here that FAV is still going to go for this West take instead of going for an admin-centric push. As Afro eventually traded by Lily, but traded right back. FAV are going full send, but can Yura deny from below? Surely Shin is aware of it. The Evil Eye starts to harass him. Yura still tracking through the floor, but Chloroform's getting a plant down, and Shin goes downstairs to hunt Yura. Yura seems ready for it, though, but the plant faked out, gets down on the ground, and now it's all on Crazy Papillon. Yura taken down downstairs, not able to have the impact that he wanted with that C4. Now in a 1 versus 3, this might actually be possible. Shin low on HP. Crazy needs to make this happen. A tie at the half, 3-3 would be huge here for Guts after FAV have looked control, but this early push has seemed to be everything that FAV needed to close out that half. 4-2 in the advantage, and FAV Gaming looking very strong here on their attacking half.
You try and figure out who the best team in Japan is at the moment, and it seems like every single series that happens, our minds get changed. But right now, FAV are looking decidedly better than Guts Gaming, a team who has shown that they have such tenacity on this tournament, and right now are struggling to keep on that grip. I think it's kind of crazy the way we see Chloroform play. It's just the man is always on the site. He is enabled so much by his team, and that is something that you cannot discount because they're going for these plants. They're not just going for the kills. They're not just going for the fights. Everything that they're doing is to enable him to get on site as fast as he possibly can. And I think that the speed of that and the aggression of that is really taking Guts by surprise somewhat. So now that they switched on to their attack, it's time to see if they're going to be able to do the same thing. Now, they've actually brought a very different kind of lineup on both sides, actually. for their attack, though. They've decided that they're going to bring the Thermite, no Maverick this time, so they're going to be going for that more traditional way of opening up the wall. Also, the IQ and the Buck. Again, two operators who have maybe fallen a little bit out of favor compared to where they were in the past somewhat. Obviously, the IQ is going to really help looking out for those yokai drones, and that's going to be the really key part. You want to get rid of that plant denial. If you can't guarantee you're going to get rid of the Echo himself, make sure the utility is off the board. And Buck also, he'll be able to play from above and open up the floor, but he's not a sledge. He hasn't got the nades anymore. So that side of things won't be able to be there, but he might be a little bit safer in not being shot up from below.
This is where we do really call into question Guts Gaming and how they'll track here. On their attacks, they have to be just as good as FAV. And then this 4-2 to send us to overtime. We do have overtime here in APAC North. Or they can win 5 attacks and take this game outright. But I don't think that's going to happen. Guts Gaming starting for this top floor clear. Good drones coming through. And you'll notice that pinch. Players from admin side, player in paper or copy room. And the pinch from CEO windows as well. C4 goes out. Doesn't find anything. Not sure exactly what that was on the roof. Was that yokai? Surely not. Already taken out. If that was, I can't think of any other utility that would have been on the roof there. That had to be a yokai drone. And if so, that is huge. Already one yokai taken out by Yura. Great usage here, leveraging that IQ gadget to its full potential.
And Taipon's still playing down below that hole as well, which might make it a little bit harder for the IQ to rotate. But right now, he's just going to be looking through those evil eyes, making sure of what's happening. And here we go. Here's Crazy Papillon playing. He's actually playing in CEO with the Buck to try and get that long angle. Instead, he's going to be moving around, but there's no one present. Well, I say no one present in bathroom. There is. There's number 2, but he's hiding in the corner. He's not present in the direct line of sight of those holes that have been opened there. Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
JJ! You should know
Wow.
better there. Those angles can be held. You've got to be careful when coming in through yellow stairs. That C4 is going to be shot straight out of the air, but they've already lost their hard breach.
That is so pivotal here. Going for a garage attack with no hard breach. I don't believe the main wall was open. In fact, it was not. Now, Guts really have to scramble. Light can find one, clear out the public bathroom. That's impactful there. 4 versus 4 evens the numbers up, but this is so difficult now for Guts. Typically, opening the garage denies positions such as where Afro is playing, with the garage completely solid and no way for it to be breached. FAV now know they can play so much more aggressively here inside of garage. Another shot rings out, just barely misses. Yura on the other side. FAV Gaming in such a good position, and there is no time left. Dropping the hatch, how do you make that happen? But surely Lai can't get another. He's taken out. 3 versus 2 now for FAV Gaming, but Guts are doing everything they can to keep this possible. FAV Gaming, 2 versus 1 at the end of it. They close it out. It got a bit close for comfort, but with that garage wall completely solid, there was nothing Guts could do to scramble a success in that round.
Despite losing some of that key utility at the start in the form of the yokai drone, it didn't matter in the end because Guts didn't even get close to planting the diffuser. As soon as they lost their hard breacher like that through, frankly, what did look like an oversight. It looked like a silly mistake. You don't just run through a line of sight like that and expect to survive, especially when you have people like Afro looking from the other side. So suddenly, your point of ingress in the form of the garage wall isn't available to you. You had to rely on those vertical angles, and in the time that was available, there was no way that they were going to be able to clear everyone out just from that. That's why you rely on the hard breach so solidly on that site. Really, really disappointing there for Guts Gaming, and that means that FAV edge ever closer to being able to take this series. Now they're going to be heading over to lobby as their next attack, and this was the site that defense I should say. This was the site that FAV was so good at taking these decisive attacks on. So whether or not Guts will be able to recreate that is going to be something worth seeing. Now, FAV are going for something kind of different here on their defensive strategy. They've decided that they're going to be going for quite a heavy roam with the Mozzie, the Vigil, and of course the Oryx, someone who we don't see loads of on Consulate. We see a little bit because, of course, he can, you know, basically go to the entire opposite side of the map and jump up through those hatches in Admin and Visa, you know, whichever one you want to pick. Above Visa, below Admin, and make those wide rotations. And given the fact that the Nomad is banned off, there's not going to be anything to really stop that from happening.
Yeah, definitely just have to rely on drones and flank watch. And Guts will have to be extra astute to punish those rotations. Now for Guts, actually looks like they're going for a West take. I don't know. Kind of a lot of options still. Hasn't been written on the wall yet. FAV Gaming, heavy presence upstairs. Ooh, here's an aggressive run out from Shin. Gets spotted out, and, well, that means that Guts will definitely know there is an Oryx on the table, as he would have been detected outside, and the operator logo would have been revealed. Now 5v5, still 1 minute down, and look at this incredibly strong presence from FAV upstairs, and maybe Guts are toying with the idea of bypassing that top floor control. A very dangerous prospect, not only because that top floor presence can be utilized to deny plant with all the soft floors, but also because there's the Maestro and the Echo on the table. Now Shin baits out a run out again, and now Guts are going to be thinking, oh god, we have to keep worrying about this bloody Oryx, which keeps running out on us. Now, it looks like the temptation is here from Guts to just go full send onto side, but I don't think it'll work. One pick, though, onto the Mozzie from Euro. That's going to start things off. Great control here now, pushing up the spiral stairs, putting himself in a really strong position. Almost takes down Shin as well, and calls out that position to be traded by Light. Great job here. Now Guts have a man advantage.
Part of me thinks it's incredibly risky to have the diffuser in the hands of your entry, and that's going to be Lily there on the Ash, because if he gets taken down in one of these altercations, that's going to be really hard for him. Euro adding another kill onto his tally as number 2 gets brought down, and now you've just got Afro and Typon remaining. Make that just Typon. He's sat here on the Echo in sight, and he's going to have to hold off all 4 members here of Guts Gaming. They have the time. They've got about 50 seconds to be able to not only get this kill, but make the defuse. He's going to be jumping out, see if he can get anything, but that's a very risky position to be in, and in the meantime, that defuse is going to be put down.
1v4, yeah, no worries, mate. Echo might be good, but, I mean, he's not this good. Type 1, dancing with the devil. Oh, he finds one, makes sure it's not going to be flawless, and, well, JJ's already taken down as well. 1v3, surely this ain't possible. 20 seconds left, and Guts, if they're smart, they'll just be playing passive. A couple shots ring out from every which way. Type 1 eventually punished. Guts Gaming, contrary to what I was saying about how impressed I was with FAV's setup and how much of a gamble it was for Guts to go straight to site, well, it works out. And that's what happens when you establish such a significant man advantage early into the round. 1 minute remaining, and Guts were in a 5 versus 2 thanks to 3 completely disconnected individual picks where they punished FAV players for being a bit too aggressive and not too aware of the entries from Guts. Great stuff, and that does bring them one step closer to evening this out.
Very hard though when you're left with just the Echo and he's playing off site, and it's hard to rotate down because you've got so many attackers against whom you're kind of going up, and you know, one of which is an IQ, and so those yokais will have been gotten rid of. Suddenly your hands are kind of tied. So FAV are going to head upstairs, and once again 6 pick off of the Clash, which it's been teased out a couple of times, but so far not actually brought. It looks like they're going to be potentially playing a little bit down below, given the fact that they've brought the Pulse out. They do have these 2 C4s on their side. There's also going to be a lot of that utility to get rid of because you do have that those Vulcan shields, as well as the deployable shield coming out from the smoke. So they want to slow Guts down a little bit. And to be fair, Guts haven't been playing as fast as FAV were. They don't require slowing down quite as much as FAV did, but if they can just push them over to when they're really pressured by time at the end, that could work very much in FAV's favor. This is very aggressive here from Shin, but once again, not going to be able to catch anything.
I like the idea, I respect it, but that is another aggressive play from FAV. And on the defense thus far, aggression has not been rewarded for FAV. Guts has done a really good job of punishing that, and last round was a great example. 5v3, as I was saying so early on. Now, Afro needs to be careful. He's not caught off. It's actually Shin takes a heck of a lot of damage there from Crazy Papillon. This is a great position to play with the Buck, especially with that ACOG. Oh, the Yokai spotted. He doesn't shoot it, though. Is the bathroom wall of Private actually reinforced? I'm not quite sure, because if not, that could be completely skeleton keyed open. No, there is one soft panel. Now, Crazy Papillon could open that for more angles towards Connector, but he decides not to do that thus far. Repels up to the roof, it seems. And, well, this is the top floor bomb site defense, and FAV have almost no presence on the west side of the top floor. No one in Yellow Stairs, no one in Private, no one even playing CEO. This is fairly unusual, especially now that there's no one in Connector and Lily's cutting that off. And if I'm Guts right now, I'm looking at this thinking, look, guys, we basically have the site. Surely we can just go in.
Looks like it could be very hard for FAV to be able to prevent that. They have 2 players here in meeting, but if Guts do decide to go into CEO, which it looks like they did, and that's going to be JJ going down to the C4 there as Chloroform finishes him off, but Lily able to cut off one of those rotations like you mentioned, and now that means the diffuser has been left alone. Smoke canisters coming out means it will be hard to jump in through those windows, and of course you've got number 2 playing below. He still has a C4 in hand too. He knows those attackers need to go in for the diffuser, and suddenly things look a little bit more tough here for Guts Gaming.
This is the strategy for FAV. No players on the west side of top floor because they're defending it from downstairs. The Pulse still has a C4. Chloroform's already used his, but he can be down here to support number 2. Does he land the shot? Number 2 actually wins that 1v1, takes a bit of damage for it. FAV looks like they're in very comfortable control of this round, shutting down everybody just on Crazy Papillon once again. Trying to peek into Piano. Surely he is shut down. Chloroform there, taken out, and is the refrag on. Number 2 was close by, but Crazy Papillon, 30 seconds left to make this happen. FAV, if they're smart, will just hold their ground. They do just that. And Guts Gaming fall here on this attack of the top floor. A very nice vertical defense of CEO.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say it looked like it could have been close there for Guts, but it kind of didn't really. The fact that there was this vertical hold and they didn't really send anyone in to clear that out before anything were to happen, it was almost inevitable that you were going to send a guy in to try and make the plan, and it was going to be denied by the C4. That's exactly what happened, right? So you just kind of have a diffuser sat there. You've still got someone holding down below. You start to send in a number of your players, but at that point, there's not much that much time remaining, and things begin to look a little bit desperate. So going back downstairs, FAV won their first defense on this site as well, but they are playing it a little bit differently this time. And I think one of the really key reasons that that they won, of course, was because the thermite on the side of Guts was taken down really easily. They can't guarantee that's going to happen again. So what do? Well, this time they bring the wall denial, because that's going to make it even harder for the thermite to be dealt with and make it harder for the garage wall to be open. Which means even if they don't pick him off before he has a chance to use the utility, it's going to be harder to even give him that chance in the first place. Especially as Guts aren't bringing a Thatcher on their lineup, so it's not like they can just use the EMP to get rid of those bandit batteries anyway. They're going to have to send players in above, like Crazy Papillon, shoot down from above, I should say, to remove the batteries that way, and that'll be something that FAV Gaming can prepare for.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Thatcher. It's funny, we've only seen him in 1 round here. He's been unbanned in this game. He slipped through the ban phase, and I mean, that's unusual. 70% of games in APAC North League, Thatcher's banned out, and he's been picked almost every time he was not banned. Only 10% of rounds was he not picked and not banned. And, well, these teams both furthering that stat, and I accept the idea here from Guts, because FAV are playing in such a way that Thatcher pick doesn't really matter. If you look at the way they held top floor, they didn't stack ADSs in yellow and try and hard hold yellow. Thanks to that my ban, they decided not worth it. And, I mean, that's really the main use for a Thatcher on that top floor. And as for downstairs, well, I assume Shin wants to try to go for a bit of a bandit trick, because if they just wanted to put static batteries down, they may as well just use the mute jammers. And, okay, you know, he's banded some barbed wire and he's banded the wall. Sure, why not? I guess that gives number 2 some freedom to put his mid jammers elsewhere. But again, like, Guts can get rid of this util from above really easily. So I don't expect the Thatcher ban, or the lack of a Thatcher pick rather, to be that impactful here. And it looks like Guts are mostly just focusing on this bathroom control first. What I'd like to see is this block open up from this top floor all the way down to where those bandit batteries are on the garage wall, and just take them out. Get JJ to open the wall. Do it nice and easy. Do it early. And just get it done, and then move on.
You can see Afro pushing up actually really aggressively here on the yellow stairs, and JJ is going to be a bit more careful about it, but it's going to be Lily who's going down first this time. That's those breach charges from the side of Guts Gaming that won't be there anymore. It might be a bit harder to get rid of that electrified barbed wire in that instance. Afro did fall as well, so that means that JJ had the opportunity to move on through, those yellow stairs being a little bit more clear, and he can place one of those exothermic charges. That means a lot of pressure is going to be placed here on number 2, who might get caught out in the bathroom. That's exactly what happens as Light secures the kill.
And that's why JJ wants to be upstairs. That's why he ran past yellow to try and open up that wall. And now he used his second exothermic on the garage wall. Risky to not do that first, but perhaps he wanted to, I don't know, save one for some reason. Wanted to do that secondarily. And now Guts in the numbers advantage, and they've got a lot more control than they did in the previous round. They can deny FAV playing aggressively in the garage, which was successful for them last time. 4v2 now. Taipon and Shin have to step it up. Shin on for this flank, takes out the Claymore. No Nomad air jabs to worry about, but it looks like Crazy Papillon is aware of this position. He's watching the angle, but he gets taken out by Taipon. Great teamwork. Now trying to deny this diffuser. It's not successful. Shin has to retake in a 1 versus 3, and it's too late to deny the plant. Now this is almost impossible. One of the most difficult bomb sites to retake. Yura cleans them up, and Guts Gaming managed to fix the problems they were encountering in that previous round. Breached everything they wanted to, established a numbers advantage, and pulled through from there.
Looked a lot more coordinated than last time, that's for sure. And being able to bring down Afro as their first kill was definitely a big part of that, because it meant that crossfire that was being held onto yellow stairs and from denying them that route on upwards was no longer there. Now, obviously, when you got to the very end, you saw that the defenders were using their cameras to be able to help each other. You know, Taipon on the Maestro, he was trying to move forward. You saw the default cam blinking away. Once he was taken down, Shin didn't have that option anymore. He just had to kind of fly blind. And at that point, it's very, very difficult, especially when you're going up against 4 different players. I think it was a very good attack there from Guts Gaming. I don't think it's all that worth dwelling on what FAV did wrong necessarily, because it was more about how Guts were able to coordinate themselves. So interestingly, FAV have decided that they are going to return to this same site. You know, it went so well for them the first time, and it could go well for them the second time. They are changing things up as well. Not going to be bringing the Bandit again this time, but they are going to be bringing the Pulse.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting to me and surprising that FAV have completely changed the operator lineup here. I mean, yeah, we have a couple mainstays. Taipon still on the Maestro, Afro still there on the Jaeger, but the Mute's moved around from number 2 to Chloroform. Shin jumps on the Pulse, and that also leaves space for number 2 on that Smoke. And, well, the first time FAV won this, yeah, it was super convincing, but that's because JJ died without breaching the garage wall. Now, you can't rely on that to happen. Like, that was just a big boo-boo, we can say. I mean, get over it, that's fine, whatever. And if you take that into account, right, and say, okay, JJ, assume he can get garage wall open, I don't think Guts are actually that unfavored on this bomb site. Remember that this is match point for FAV still, but Guts have to deal with a different defensive setup now onto this garage site. And it's one that favors much more a passive playstyle from FAV and a Plantinile-centric playstyle. Now the exothermic charge to go out on the left side of the wall, fairly uncommon. Usually you would see the right side breached, as that denies the side white positions. Evil Eye destroys that bullet, rather the drone, which means that Guts Gaming aren't going to have as much info on this bomb site as they would like. Shin also playing around server can deny anyone pushing in through Visa with a C4 and his information through the floor. So I really like this setup for FAV, and it might work out here against Guts.
I mean, it was really that side of the map that Lily got taken out on in the last round, because he went down super early. I think one thing they do need to be aware of, yeah, maybe they have to be aware of this Evil Eye getting shots in through the drone hole if they don't deal with that. But one thing they need to be aware of on the side of FAV is that Guts were playing a lot of their vertical play from the top floor. So even if you do have the Pulse, for example, playing down below in the basement using the cardiac sensor, you're not going to be able to get the C4 reaching all the way up there. So they might find that they have to make some kind of rotation if Guts Gaming decide to repeat the same thing. Now, right now, they're looking a little bit, not stumped, but obviously being rather slow. They've reached this point where they have to be that way because they're trying to figure out where all these players are. There's a smoke that's going to come out to deny them, and obviously the side of white is available, and that means Shin's going to be able to get a 2K. You said it there. JJ does get the trade out on him, but the damage has already been done, and that means just 2 remaining players here on Guts Gaming.
FAV Gaming on the cusp of match points, and here it is, consumed is Guts Gaming. FAV, a decisive final round to close the map. Through and through, very impressive on their attack, switching onto their defense. A few mishaps, but that final round put the money in the bag for FAV Gaming, a team that is now looking much better than they have throughout the Japanese Pro League, throughout the Japanese Nationals, and now into the APAC North League. They are establishing themselves as one of the best teams out of Japan, and well done surely in the running for those top 6 spots that go to the APAC North mini major.
Yeah, I mean, even when you just look at the scoreboard at the end there, it was pretty wild, those numbers that we're racking up. But I think we're really on the way to being able to figure out who the best team out of all these Japanese teams are. And it was shaking up the expectations from the beginning, but it was a game and a half, and FAV just proved that they were better. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see FAV take down Guts, a team that's done so well, and it goes to show FAV, look, they're the only team to get 7-0'd so far in the league, but they've definitely got the stones to compete with the top dogs here. Milosh, I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about that one. Over to you guys.
Yes, we do, and thank you so much, James. We talked about